When fighting on the back, we need a system that we can use to start strangling people. But sometimes we don't know what we're doing and we fall off before we can initiate our attacks. Well, overall, there are 3 different back attack systems that we can use. And hopefully in this video, you'll know all 3. Now, the person I'm going to have to credit for this video is going to be BJ Penn. BJ Penn was the forefather of modern back attacks. I mean, if you look at BJ Penn's career in his prime, he only lost 4 times and had 1 draw. The rest of the time, he won everything else by either KO, submission, or decision. When we're talking about systems, we can either use our whole body, and we can use a straitjacket system or belly them out, or we can use a hand fighting method, which I like to categorize them as a speed-based method or a controlled-based method. When we're using a speed-based type method, we're just shooting our hand across really quickly and locking up the strangle. There's not really any method we use. We're just moving our hand up really quickly and then attacking. We can see when Craig Jones is attacking the back, he switches to the underhook side, and he uses a cross grip in this example to shoot the strangle hand across. And then once he's across, he switches sides and pushes with his locking hand, which helps him get the strangle and overall the submission. And here's a better example of what I think Craig Jones was trying to do. He was trying to get 2 cross grips and control the hands directly. And then once he was controlling the hands directly, the hands couldn't interfere and he could just switch across really fast. Now, I think someone who attacks the back extremely well in a controlled-based method is Ethan Crowlston. And in this example, Ethan is integrating both the overhook and underhook side of the back attack. And you can see here he switched from being on the underhook side to the overhook side. And that's what he used as a way to finish on the back. Now let's look at the pros and cons of each. The pros of using a hand fighting based method is we have the element of surprise. No one's going to see this coming. It works on both the overhook and underhook side. Our legs can be used as control as a body triangle or a high ball ride. There's not really any setup required. You can just clear the hands and go. And it's a very skill-based attack. The person with more skill in the hand fighting is going to win. As far as cons go, we're using our hand fighting based method. It's much easier for our opponents to escape because we're having to unlock our hands, and we use it, and it makes it easy for our opponents to use turning escapes. It can also be a nuisance when we're attacking the back because if the person is way stronger than you, they can have a death grip, and it's extremely energy and time consuming to lock up a strangle. When we're using a hand fighting based method, there's no secondary plan. You can switch off to an armbar and the rear naked choke. You don't really have options. And this is a very dynamic position. Once your opponent starts escaping, you're going to have to lock your hands again for control. And lastly, we're carrying body weight. And while it may not feel like it, you are slowly exhausting yourselves. Let's look at the second family of back attacks. In my opinion, this is the best system because we're using our whole body. And in this example, Craig Jones is using the belly down system. And you can see this is just brutal. This is not a place you want to be. And Craig Jones uses the brutality of this position to help feed in his strangle hand. And then once he's fed his strangle hand in, he doesn't mind carrying body weight because the match is about to be over. Some examples of the belly down position is when your opponent is turtled and you have 2 hooks, we can use double underhooks. And we can use these double underhooks to belly them out. And this is just brutal. And this is a very compromising position in MMA, and we will see that in a little bit. Another example is when we're in the chair sit position from mount. We can use our head as a base and use our leg to kick our opponent's opposite leg, and we can use that to enter down the belly down position. When we're trapping the arm, a very common sequence is to use a straight grip. And once we have a straight grip, we can feed that straight grip to our cross grip. So on the underhook side, if it fails to trap, we can feed it to a cross grip. And once we fed it to a cross grip, this is much better control, and it's much easier to trap the hands. And once we've trapped the hands, we can then, it's a one hand versus one neck, and you'll always win this fight, unless your opponent's very stocky, which it just will take longer. The person who I think put this back attack system specifically in motion was Gordon Ryan, which in his last 80cc run, he used a more opportunistic hand trap. When chair sitting from mount, his opponent tried to stop him from getting a topside hook, in which case he used an opportunistic trap to get this hand trap and eventually the submission. And another example, in the opposite side of the division, in the 66th division, Gary Tonon was getting his back taken. And he tried to stop the bottom hook from coming in. And this prevention left him exposed to getting his top hand trapped, which he eventually used to get out. Let's go into the pros and cons of the whole body system. Some of the pros are we always have secondary plans. If it doesn't work, and if it bellying people out doesn't work, we're still on top. And if the straitjacket system doesn't work, we always have the ability to go to arm bars, triangles, and things like that. It's also very controlling position that your opponent will not be able to get out of, and if they do, they will have to tire themselves out. We're also using our whole body, so I don't care how big your opponent is, their arm is not going to be as strong as their leg. We can also use this to get much cleaner finishes, because nobody likes choking over the chin, and it's one sequence, at least for the straitjacket system. It's very simple. Some cons are that it's a very taxing position because we're using our whole body, especially in the belly down position. It's kind of obvious also because our opponent knows what's coming, and it's very time consuming. It takes time to set these things up. The body type and the body type of the person also matters. It also will depend if they're larger, if you're smaller, you have shorter legs. It's going to be harder to get the straitjacket system, as opposed if you were tall and lanky. So there is a bias to body type. And this is specifically to the straitjacket system. We would be carrying body weight. Well, I hope that was interesting and entertaining. And if I have anything I need to work on, or y'all want to know, just tell me something. Tell me in the comments and I'll look at them. There's not really an excuse for me not to. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.